Hi, I've just finished the build of this WASP Mk3 and I thought there was one thing in particular that when I was researching this bike and before I built it, I kept hearing about, and that was how difficult the seat was to take on and off. This seat pan has 3 studs in the back of it incorporated into the underside of into the glass fibre. They're M6 threaded studs, and there's one here at the front and there's 2 here, about here at the back. These ones go through the fiberglass sub seat base and are accessible with M6 nuts that you get to under here. And while the bike hasn't been used and they're clean, these wouldn't be too bad to get to. But the front one sticks through here, goes through the front of the seat base here, and is almost completely inaccessible up above the carburettor to get to release the seat. So I thought I'd come up with a method. I started to think about a method where you could release the seat without undoing any bolts at all. That actually then led me on to a couple of other things that I looked at that I thought improved the way the actual rear part of the bike fixed to the frame. So now this seat will come off without undoing any bolts at all. Sharp tap there and it lifts up like that, comes off. So it uses the same studs that were always in the seat base. The ones at the back here, they have a double M6 nut locked in place on either side at a specific height. Which will become obvious in a minute. And then the front has a bayonet that screws over the front stud. This is made from a internally M6 threaded, I think they're used as joining pieces. You get them on eBay, and then the end is fashioned to a round, non-sharp bayonet. So this bayonet at the front goes through a hole here. The back of this hole is reinforced with a stainless steel plate that's bonded in place with JB weld. And the these 2 double nuts here on these studs go through 2 keyholes in the seat sub base that, when slid forward, engage on the underside. Again, these have a stainless steel plate bonded on the underside with JB weld. So it goes back into place like that. When you go through that, hold them down there, give it a hard tap, and it locks in place. That's pretty secure. Now, it has been commented it's probably not secure enough if you're going to race these bikes and put them through the rigours of a full motocross track. And maybe that's right, maybe that is right, but I think for the road it's certainly okay. And at the end I'll discuss some ideas that I'm having but haven't implemented yet of how you could actually still have it generally like this but have something to lock it in place, so under no circumstances will it just come out backwards. So I'll take it apart now and I'll show you the underside of this, how the plates are bonded on, and a few things a couple of things you have to do to the underside of the seat to make it work. And also I'll pick up on what that then led me on to on how I think I improved the fixing of the base section to the frame. Okay, the seat base as designed of the rear part of the bike plastic, as designed, is fixed in 4 places, as you can see here. 2 at the back, 2 at the front. These 2 are designed to be fixed by bolts, 1/4 inch M6 bolts that engage in tubes, or they go through and have a nut on the base that go through tubes that are part of this subframe, and it's fixing to the main frame here. These ones here go through into 2 tabs that are part of the main frame, and then it just lifts away. So I'll take it off now. Right, so they're undone, and then that will just lift away here. Okay, that's released. So now you can see the underside of the main pan here. Here are the 2 at the back, the 2 keyholes that are cut, that have stainless steel plates on. They just help to engage the nuts that come on the back of the seat. And then at the front, similarly, around where the bayonet goes in, just to stop it wearing away. To stop it wearing away here, the fiberglass. There's a stainless steel plate here as well. And they're bonded in place with JB Weld. Now, while I was doing this, it also occurred to me that the method of fixing this through the back here was by bolts. I don't know, about 1.5 inch bolts that go through from the top and engage with a nut on the underside of 2 tubes in the front of here. Again, that just seemed to me like another unnecessarily difficult way of fixing both this in place and the seat from the top. So I internally threaded the ends of these tubes with an M6 helicoil, so that you could put a stud or a bolt, an M6 bolt, in from underneath with exactly the right protrusion through the top here. So that when you offered the seat pan over the top of it, you could fix with an M6, with a penny washer and an M6 nut on the top. The front here was always had captive nuts welded on the back here, so you didn't have to get to them anyway to undo it. The only thing I did do to keep it all the same, I went metric, so those are M6, and I drilled and helicoiled these to be M6 as well. So I just thought that was an easier, that was a slightly more accessible way of fixing at the front here. Then these were just both of these, all of the here and here have thin self-adhesive neoprene to cushion and take the underside of here, and the penny washers that go on here, they're slightly dished to take account of the curvature here. And again, this has thin self-adhesive neoprene on the back to cushion it. They go on here, and similarly at the front, the penny washers there, again slightly curved because that stitching, it just helps to cushion the whole thing. Now it is important, the length of these studs needs to be exactly right, not too long, because otherwise they clash with the holes, with the recesses that are being left in the seat pan if they're too long, because these were basically designed in the expectation there would be no more than a bolt head there. So it does mean that these don't get the proper one thread through the nut. But I've used nylock nuts on there, and you know, it's not exactly a structural part, is it? So that's how that works. Now on the seat, there is something you do have to do. These, as I say, you've got recesses here, here, 4 of them, to take account of where these bolt heads would be. These are okay at the front because they're still just simply bolt heads, so they're good enough. Again, at the back, as I said, you need to keep these exactly the right length to be able to pick up the nuts, but no more. But the other thing you do have to do is, because the action here is to slide the seat backwards, it means, and it's being slid backwards while it is still tight to here, you have to ease the fronts of this fiberglass here, otherwise it clashes with these and stops you moving the seat backwards enough so that these reach the keyhole part to be able to lift it out. So I just used a burr on the end of a drill, just to push that forward, maybe 10 mil. It doesn't quite breach the fiberglass of the seat pan. It just about does. And then just to sort of tidy it up, I've just smeared some JB Weld on there to neaten it up. So that is my tip for how to make the seat removable without any nuts or bolts to be undone from underneath, and how to make the fixing at the back here accessible from the top rather than from fiddling around with nuts that go underneath. If you were still worried about the security of the seat with this method, then I'm just thinking whether you could have some, I'm just looking at perhaps a spring-loaded catch or a stud here that engages in the back of the seat that would stop it in any circumstances sliding backwards and coming out. So obviously that whether you'd have a wire release on it or something you pull that would allow the plunger or something to come down, and therefore you can complete the action of removing the seat. But in use, there's something stuck underneath the back of the seat here that won't let it move backwards. Of course, that would mean doing something under here, which would be subject to all the dirt and everything. Anyway, that's something I haven't developed yet, and I might think about if I find I have a problem with this thing sliding backwards. That's it. Thank you very much for watching.